on with putting down all the pink insulation foam. Came out pretty good. Little crooked at the end here, but you know, model railroading is not perfect. You gotta remember you're modeling the world, and the world is not perfect. So you see like little areas where it's high and low. Doesn't really matter because there is no such thing as just flat Earth, unless you're Kyrie Irving who believes the Earth is flat. Okay, so since I'm picking up my tools, I just figured we'd talk a little bit about, basically about tools and what you possibly need. You know, like if you're basically getting ready to make your very first layout, or if you're always doing layouts, sometimes it's good to know what other people are using, right? One tool I have here is, this is just a cordless power driver. You could use this as a drill, but it's not very powerful. This is pretty much just for driving in screws. Extremely helpful to have though. I like this particular one because it's nice and light. It's great for getting in and around your layout, doing whatever you need, but it's also really wonderful just to have it around your house. Another tool, of course, that no one could ever do without, especially when you're doing a model railroad or you're doing anything around the house, is a tape measure. Tape measures, usually I have 3 or 4 of these, mainly because whenever I need one, I can't find one. But they're extremely helpful. This particular one's basically a 30-foot tape measure. I recommend having one like this. Because especially if you need you get like a little 12-foot guide, those are pretty much worthless. Alright, another tool I have right here, this is a basically it's just a one like a razor blade type knife. This is made by Husky. It's kind of nice. I've had this thing for a number of years. What's nice about this is it's kind of easy to grip and hold. The blades also are extremely easy to swap out and change, and then you can actually store extra blades right in the handle. You definitely don't want to do like what I just did, which is just leaving it lying around, especially if you have kids, because they could cut themselves. Another tool I have here is just basically a sanding block. You're going to use this a lot with model railroading, doing pretty much a lot of everything. You'll need like sanding blocks of different sizes. This is actually too wide for certain things, but say you're modeling a road, you want to try and get that nice and flat. They also sell like small sanding blocks you can buy at hobby stores. A shop vac, of course, invaluable, not only for doing model railroading, but in my opinion, just good to have around the house. This particular model is a wet and dry vac, which is very handy. Coming over here, you're always going to need like things like this, which is just like a putty knife. This happens to be a really nice wide one, but typically with model railroading, you probably don't need anything this wide. This was helpful for when I was spreading the glue for the foam. But you want them in different sizes and different shapes and variations because they're always helpful. I'm going to come over here to the desk area. Here's some of my tools for just really working with this, basically working with the foam. This is basically a reversing back saw. I don't know if you've heard of like what they call a razor knife or whatever. This is kind of like that on steroids. This is, things will chop through anything. It's really nice. I picked this up at Home Depot. Really goes through this here pink foam like butter. So it's a good thing to have, especially if you need to make large cuts. Another thing is if you're wanting to really just hack away at it, you get yourself a nice knife like this, and that's what this thing is definitely for. It's for hacking away. You want to use this for just making large cuts because this will really chew up your foam. I also have a series of these. They're sort of like rasps, and they're helpful. They work also as a chisel. so they're kind of nice. They do really good job with sculpting the foam. The best tool for sculpting foam is this guy right here. This is what I think they call a Sure Foam. Yeah, Sure Foam shaver. This thing here is awesome for sculpting this here pink foam. You can pretty much get this to sculpt any way you want. Other tools that might be helpful as you move on with, you know, an airbrush is nice and helpful. I got this for Christmas, and it still looks brand new because I haven't used it yet. Various different rulers and whatnot, especially when you're doing any work. Some other thing working my way around, you'll definitely hot melt glue guns. Those are extremely helpful for a lot of things. As you can see, I got some of these little sculpting knives. Basically, I just picked these up at any hobby store. These are actually designed for sculpting clay, but they also work great for sculpting Sculptamold. I also have a bunch of various different types of chisels and whatnot. These are helpful for if you got like dry bits of Sculptamold in places you don't want, or anything really you need to do around your layout. Now, a lot of these things are for as you go on. To tell you honest truth, if you're just starting, this is your very first layout. You just want to build something for you and your kid. Well, with the Miani system, the Miani benchwork system, really all you need is a Phillips head screwdriver, a hammer, and maybe a plastic tipped hammer. That is all you are going to need to put together the Miani benchwork. That is actually one of the really nice things about the Miani benchwork. In case you're wondering, before you, before I hear any comments, I'm not a paid, I'm not being paid by Miani to push their benchwork. But I did find the stuff actually very easy to do. So especially like if you're just trying to put together a nice little layout, that's very helpful. And then really from that point on, as far as everything else you need to build your set, that's really it. I mean, you need a screwdriver to put the screws into the paneling. The 1/2-inch plywood. Plywood you get cut by Home Depot. You don't need a saw, so you're actually pretty good. I already mentioned about the table saw. That's also a good thing to have. Another great thing to have, especially if you're doing a lot of model railroading or even anything really working with small items, because let's face it, this is HO scale is 187. You want these nice small precision screwdrivers. These are extremely helpful for whenever you need to basically work on your trains or whatever, or working on, I was using it to tighten up these screws on this track. Crawling underneath the layout, these guys right here, knee pads, lifesavers. Definitely need them. And last but not least, this is just an awl. Yes, I'm in awe by the awl. Anywho, this is just an awl. This actually, when you're doing work around your layout, you're just trying to plant trees, you basically just punch a hole in with this, and then that makes a nice little hole. This works great for if it's not plaster. If it's plaster, you're either going to have to use like a sharp knife. Speaking of sharp knives, and or maybe like a small drill set at a low speed. So that's just a little wrap up of some of the various tools that you will need for doing model railroading. There's all kinds of like little specialty tools for this, that, and the other. I'll be honest, when you get, like I said, when you get into it, a lot of times when you're dealing with Sculptamold, all you need is like a plastic container to mix it in, and then really you're working with the tools that God give you, which is your brain and your hands. There's not much else really tools that you're doing other than that. So that's pretty much about it. I'm sure I left some things out, but you know, I'm actually learning as I go here too. So thanks for watching. Bye.